Hello.
What's up, guys?
We're back again together. We decided we would go ahead and go. I can't really invite people without behind my finger on the way. So you're in charge of inviting. We're going to read the gist for today. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes for a couple people to get on. We had some people ask if we would go live today. So here we are. Hey, Rita. How are you? Hey, Dad.
Alright, I got it.
Hey, Amanda. How are you? Who was the one that asked, Eli
asked if we were going to go live, so...
Can you invite him?
Yeah.
Amanda, I wanted to, and then Joe was like, they've been here overnight, and he was like, well, I'm going to go live, and I was just kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'll brush my hair and go live.
Alright, I tagged him.
So I'm going to read the gist for today, and if you have anything you want to talk about, just talk about it, and we'll go into depth or whatever. So if you have any topics, don't forget to share those as well. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say if anybody has something specific they want us to talk about, just put it in the comments and we'll talk about it.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to read from the gist for today. For anybody that's curious, you can order it from Amazon. You can also download the app.
Jewel wanted to take the weekend off, but I told her not to. I told her we should go today since we didn't go yesterday.
Sometimes you have to take the weekend off, I feel like. I've been in a mood, so maybe this will help. Meditation. Quieting the mind through meditation brings an inner peace that brings us into contact with the God within us. Basic text, page 46 to 47. As our recovery progresses, we often reflect on what brought us to Narcotics Anonymous in the first place and are able to appreciate how much the quality of our lives has improved. We no longer have to fear our own thoughts, and the more we pray and meditate, the more we experience a calm sense of well-being. The peace and tranquility we experience during our quiet time confirms that our most important needs, our spiritual needs, are being met. We are able to empathize with other addicts and strengthen our conscience in the process. We learn to avoid judging others and experience the freedom to be ourselves. In our spiritual reflection, we intuitively find the God within us and see that we are in harmony with a power greater than ourselves. I'm really proud of that intuitively. Look, see, couldn't even do it a second time. Just for today, I will reflect upon the gift of recovery and listen quietly for my higher power's guidance. Go ahead, Joe. Start it off.
All right. So it's another one of those like vague topics, but it does have a focus point, like with meditation. And I don't know if I would consider myself a person who meditates. To me, like my meditation is like either going to the gym,
I was just hearing you saying,
or I'll sit in my car in the mornings and go get my coffee and drink my coffee and play my music in my car, and that's kind of how I start the day off right. I get up, I go to the store, I get my kombucha, and I get my coffee, and I listen to my music first thing in the morning, and that's kind of how I start my day off. Most days, that's how I start my day. So we all have like those rituals that start our days off, and meditation is just like a form of your ritual. Like however you start your day, and it starts your day off right, and puts you in the right mood. You need to make sure that you're doing that you're staying to that ritual that works for you, that helps you start your day off on the right foot. And that's just my ritual. My ritual is, my loud music and my coffee and my kombucha, and then I usually do this live, and then I go to the gym, or I go to the gym first and then do this live, and that's kind of my morning, that's kind of my daily routine. That's my starter. That's my meditation. So we all have different forms. Some people literally just meditate. I know when my wife was pregnant, she used to meditate all the time. So some people do the traditional forms of meditation, but for me, I'm not really that type of person. You know, my mind kind of runs off. So if I just sit and think, it's not something that's usually good for me all the time. So.
Well, I feel like meditation for you definitely is going to the gym, because that's where you release your energy, you know?
Yeah, so that's what works for me. My coffee and my music puts me in the right mood in the morning, gets me hyped up, and then my gym is what kind of releases all my tension and stress and makes me feel good, and that kind of caps it off. And then I usually go home and I'm chill for the rest of the day. I kind of relax. So that's what works for me. Everybody has different things, but our rituals and our habits, you know, it's all it really is.
Yeah, I like how you said about, you know, your routine, because I feel like that plays a big piece in it. I don't really know that I meditate. I feel like generally when I get to a point that I need to just clear my mind, I usually just turn something on and just try not to, like, I just put the phone down and just try to waste my mind on the TV. But I always, you know, when I was in the recovery house, every morning we had morning meditation. And we had to get up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and we had to read the Just for Today. And for a long time, probably for a couple of weeks, I just went against it, because I don't like to get up early, for one. And so that was really just a huge inconvenience for me. Forget if it was going to do anything for me. I just was too bothered to be up, you know. So the Just for Today helps me. And I feel like I needed to meditate. So I'm actually really glad that we read the Just for Today, because I probably wouldn't have read it if we didn't get on here and go live. So
yeah, that's something that I miss. I miss getting up early, because when we had Leanna, I started getting on that morning routine where I'd be up at like 6, 5, 7, 8. Those were like my hours where I got up. But before, I was like an insomniac. Like, I would stay up. Like, I had insomnia. Like, I'd stay up all night. I was a late night person by habit. And when she came along, I kind of broke from that and got more into the, you know, old man routine, where I would, you know, go to bed before midnight and I'd be up by like 6 or 7 at the latest. And I'm trying to get back into that, because lately I've been sleeping till like lunchtime, and that kind of throws my day off.
Yeah, it does me too.
I don't like sleeping that late anymore, like I used to.
Late today and yesterday.
So,
Amanda, I know I don't go to Celebrate Recovery, but you probably know Samantha. I can't think of her last name right now, but I know that she's in Celebrate Recovery, and I think she sells Mary Kay too, so I'm almost certain you know who she is. But her and I had talked about Celebrate Recovery before as well. And their, what was it, their One More campaign. Eli said last night was not a good night for me. Out of nowhere, I wanted to get high. I had to end up going to bed because I couldn't get it out of my mind no matter how hard I tried.
Well, Eli, you made the right choice. You couldn't stop thinking about it, so you went to bed. So, you know.
I mean, you're going to have days like that. It's, you know, a lot of people, I don't know if it's that people assume that when they get clean, they just stop thinking about drugs. That's not always the case. Sometimes people have drug dreams. Sometimes you just have those cravings. But I agree with Joe. You made the right decision by just going ahead and calling it a night and going to bed, because the longer you stayed up and the more you stayed in your head, the worse you would have been.
Yeah, you start, like, the more you think about it, the more you start to plan it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I know when my mom died, like, I had the shit mapped out, you know, how I was going to do it, when I was going to do it. And I had thought about it all week. But then I talked to my brother about it and kind of changed my mind. And then once it was over and it was talked about, then I kind of just broke free from the thought, and the thought was gone.
Yeah.
So just keep working, man. It's not a one day thing. It's not a, you know, it's an everyday thing, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, make sure, you know, like, I lean, like for me, because like I was a drinker, like I lean on, like, I drink, like, my coffee gives me like the stimulant that I need, And then the kombucha is like, I don't know if anybody in here drinks those, but they kind of taste like beer, you know what I mean? And I was a big like beer drinker, so like for me it's almost like I'm replacing the beer with that, because it kind of has that bite and gives me that like that good bite flavor that I like, and I know it's something that's actually good for me instead of bad for me. It's like that whole, replace a bad habit with a good habit.
Yeah.
So that's why I said like your morning ritual is important. You gotta start your day off on the right foot and with the right state of mind. And like for me, if my day is off, then I get in a mood and then my whole day's fucked up. So if I start my day off doing my ritual, getting my coffee, getting my kombucha, getting my workout in, getting all those feel goods, then my day goes pretty smooth after that. So you just got to make sure you got stuff in place to put your day in the right direction to start.
Yeah, and I don't know what your network as far as like friends or family go, or if you have people to talk to that are in recovery. But that would be another suggestion. They always say in NA, call somebody who cares. That's a prime example of when you need to call somebody who cares, because a lot of times just by talking it out, you can get it out of your system.
Yeah. And the people that talk to you, they'll remind you of the things that you blocked out. Because when you get that tunnel vision where you want to drink or you want to get high or get fucked up, you don't think about anything. You just got that tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you talk to somebody, they don't have tunnel vision when it comes to that, so they can talk you down and be like, hey man, this is what's gonna happen if you do this. This is what's gonna happen if you don't, and then they'll kind of snap you out of that trance, because you kind of go into a trance,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you talk to somebody, they can kind of snap you out of that. Like how my brother did for me. He snapped me out of it. He brought me back to reality. So it's just
whooped you back into shape.
Yeah. So yeah, it's important to have somebody, in your back pocket that you can talk to.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one person, you don't need a whole lot of people. You just need one good person is worth more than 100 iffy motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
You ought to reach out to him.
And I think you're my friend on Facebook, man. If you ever feel like that, just hit me up, message me. I'll talk to you about it. Don't feel like you can only interact with me on here. I mean, I don't care who you are. Anybody. If anybody is watch this and they, they're friends with me on my personal page, don't be afraid. Like, I don't know if I can message this guy, or I don't care who you are. I don't care, what your deal is. You can anybody that's watching this, you can feel free to message me privately if it's something that you really don't want to talk about. Don't hang on and wait for our next day live, and
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that might be too much time in between. So if as soon as you have the feeling, go ahead and message me, and if I'll get back to you. I won't blow you off. So, I mean, I might not get back to you right away, but I'll get back to you before the day's over. And usually, I mean, all of us got our phones right in front of us all the time. So 9 times out of 10, it'll be instant. Just depends on where I'm at. Like if sometimes I might be, I got AT&T, so my service is not 100. So sometimes if I don't hit you up, it's just because if I don't get back to you right away, it's usually because I don't have service. So that's going to be the only scenario where I won't respond to you right away. But at some point in the day, I will have service. So
Tony, you said today's another fight for me. Woke up in Jones mode, but fighting. Do you feel like do you know what triggered you? Because I feel like a lot of times there's a trigger, and it could be this time of the year. Rita said, "This time of year, it's very hard for me, and I do not get away more. The holidays are the hardest. The holidays are the hardest for just about everybody. Everybody that." A lot of times I feel like we put on these bright smiley faces for the holidays, because one, we have kids, right? And so we want them to experience the holidays. We want them to have the good times and the good memories that we had as kids. But as adults, a lot of times we have things we're going through. You know, we've lost loved ones this year, or we're in a financial situation, or, you know, whatever the case may be. The holidays are hard on everybody, you know, people that have mental illnesses and, you know, other things like that. So just remember you're not alone. But Tony, I didn't know if you knew if there was something that triggered you to make you feel that way. And the same for you, Eli. Do you feel like there was something that maybe triggered you, that made you kind of set off to where you got into that, you know, got in your head about it?
It's important to identify, like, why you felt that way.
Yeah.
If it's random, then you were just having one of those days. If it was just something random that you just it just randomly popped in your head, then you were probably just having one of them iffy days, and that's when you need to just hit somebody up. But it's important to think about, like, when did the thought come in? What was I doing at that time? Why did it happen?
Yeah, because if it is a trigger, then you can avoid it next time.
You know I can't see that far, so you're going to have to read that.
Oh, shit. I sent a picture of you yesterday when you were playing the game and told Sharvik you can get your husband some glasses for Christmas.
I'm not going to wear them, so...
I'm going to struggle with myself and all of this. I lost my kids in September, and I feel truly alone. I had my first dope dream. Yeah, those dope dreams are rough. They're real rough. Do you have, like, a plan for your kids? I don't know what the whole situation is, and if you don't feel like putting it all out here, then, you know, you can always message us. But I can imagine how tough that is. And then to have a dope dream on top of it, I mean, that's probably just a reaction to what you're going through, you know?
Well, me personally, that wasn't my advice, and I don't know if that only comes with that territory, because I don't really have dreams about drinking or nothing like that. So I can't really relate in that aspect. But as far as your kids go, I'm going to make an assumption. So I mean, if I'm wrong, you can just back me up. But I'm going to assume... you know, your kid's situation probably you can link it back to your addiction, your problem with your drug problem. So instead of, like, you know, it's easy to use that as a reason, but, like, think about why that's happening, and think about what the end result, like, you're only going to create more damage that way and more wreckage, and it's only going to take longer. So, you know, you just stay on the right path. Eventually things will work out.
I feel like it's easy when things like that happen, because it's easy for us to throw in the towel. You know, it's easy to say, well, I'm already messed up. They're already gone. You know, what's the point in moving forward? But you need to use it as a fuel to motivate you, not to bring you down. Let's see. I read that one. Joanne said, I've been having them dreams a lot lately. They can be scary. Joanne, do you feel like there's anything that's kind of triggered them? I had one probably a couple months ago, and maybe it wasn't that long. I had one probably like 2 weeks before Josh went to the emergency room for his tooth, and it really set me in a fit. Like, he come home from the emergency room, and they had gave him a prescription, and I was like, you have to take it to work with you. Like, I can't have it in the house. Like, it's raising my anxiety just being here. So I was really glad that when I woke up the next morning, he had taken with him. Let's see. Tony, Rita said, feel free to reach out if you need to. I'm crying constantly when I'm awake. I have 17 days clean, and I'm having a hard time getting out of bed. Can I message you? Yeah, you can message me. That's fine. That's probably why, because you're only about 2 weeks in. I mean, to me, you know, like, the first 30 days are super, super hard. Because, you know, one, your body is, like, physically detoxing, and all the emotions are hitting at once. How old are your children, Tony? Hey, Terry. Yes, and congratulations on 17 days, because that's 17 days you haven't had before. That's 17 days you've gone without the use of drugs. You already know that you can do it without them, because you've already done it.
I don't know if it's the same for addicts with alcoholics. sucks, or if I'm, it's probably all personal to the individual. But for me, I could go 2 weeks, no problem. But after that 2 weeks, I needed to drink. I needed to release. So 2 weeks was easy for me. But after that 2 weeks, I had to drink. So that first 2 weeks is hard. So you gotta make sure. And then getting that third weekend, that's the hardest week in my opinion, for me. That was always the hardest. Like, I could go 2 weeks, but in the back of my mind, I always knew after the 2 weeks was over, eventually I'm gonna get it in. So,
well, and it's different depending on what your substance of choice is too, because like, generally speaking, for people that use heroin or pills, the detox, depending on how much you're doing, is like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Whoops. Let's see. Okay, so Tony, I'm going to say this. They're 9 and 7. Just think about how, years from now, there's a good chance they're not really going to remember. So don't allow the fact that you've used and they're 9 and 7, don't allow that to hold you down and to hold you back. Because, we've talked about my mother-in-law before, and she had so much guilt from all the stuff she had done to Joe and his brother for so many years. That was something that literally held her back. Every time she would go to get clean, she would just overwhelm herself with the guilt. Don't do that. Because what your kids want are you. Let me see. Terry, you said, was this the first time I had to face something like that? No, not really, because I had, let's see, so I've celebrated 8 years in August of this year. My oldest is going to be 7 in December. And so I had him about, I guess, let's see, August, like 16 months into my recovery. And when I had him, I had a C-section. They had to put me to sleep, so they put me on a morphine pump. And that was really, like, I don't want to say scary, but kind of like, I don't know if nerve-wracking is the word, but I was afraid of how I would feel once everything was done and I went to leave the hospital. And I didn't have any issues then. And then when I had my youngest, I had another C-section, and I ended up busting my stitches open inside my stomach, so I had to take pain medicine for that for a couple weeks. But that really didn't bother me either, and I think it's because my husband never really had any problems with addiction or pills or anything like that, so it was easy for him to stay on top of me. And knowing that he was going to hold me accountable, I think really helped. And then I've had to go to the dentist for things, and anybody that's had dental pain generally says they'd rather have kids than have dental pain. And I made it through that. It was the first time since him and I have been together to where he's had to have pain medicine for something. So that was a first. It's something different for everyone. Try to avoid whatever triggers you. Yeah, absolutely. Because if you can figure out what your triggers are and stay away from them and avoid them, or learn how to cope with them, then you'll be golden. Tara said, I think my trigger's my mother. She came for Thanksgiving. Her and my father were addicts. We used together. He died of an overdose. She's on methadone. I've been struggling for a few days. Today is really intense. Yeah, I bet. That's a lot.
Yeah, I can relate. I know my mom, I moved with my mom, and we lived in Salisbury together, and she lived somewhere else, I lived somewhere else, but we were like, I could walk to her house in like 15 minutes, so we were real close where we lived, and I never really alienated her because of her addiction. So a lot of times I'd go spend a couple hours with her when it was nice outside. We sit outside on the step and listen to music and bullshit and catch up. And a lot of times, like every time I went there, I would drink to go hang out with her, because it was like when I would drink, her problems I wouldn't realize her problems. You know what I mean? Like when I would drink, I would forget about what she was doing and try to just love her and spend time with her for who she was at that time. Mm-hmm. And so I can understand that being a trigger for you, because not only is it like the nostalgia factor where you remember that's what you guys did together, but probably to cope with what they're doing in their lifestyle is probably easier to be fucked up in that situation. So Not saying you gotta avoid your parents, but whatever works, you can't.
You have to take care of yourself, though. So if giving yourself time from them is what you need, then you have to do ultimately what's best for you.
Right.
I know with the holidays it's not ideal, but I saw somebody post a couple days ago. Her name is Melanie, and she has I'm not sure if it's considered a nonprofit, but she has a program called Stronger Than My Struggles. And so she talks about like mental illness and dealing with drug abuse and, domestic violence, all those different things. And she did a live on Thanksgiving about how she specifically chose not to visit with family on Thanksgiving because it triggered her and it brought her back to a place where she didn't like herself. So she specifically said, I'm not doing it this year. I found an image one time that said, we were searching for a peace of mind that we never found when we're in our active addiction. And that really stuck true to me because I feel like the whole time that I was getting high, I was trying to find this inner peace. I was trying to find myself or settle myself or whatever the case was. And I never found it. It was never in the bottom of the bag. That's for sure. Okay, let's see. Tony said, Joel and Joe, this is the most amazing thing that you're doing. I missed a meeting today, and this is almost like a meeting for me, and it's building my confidence for the day. Tony, that's part of the whole reason why I wanted to start this. Because, life happens outside of the meetings, and we can't always get to them, So to me, if this helps you and this makes you feel better and, like you said, you couldn't get to the meeting, then it's all worth it to me. So I'm really, really glad. I didn't want to get on, Joe, but I'm really glad that we did.
Yeah, and the difference between this and a meeting is you can always rewatch it. You can always go back and watch the replay. So,
And we've been doing them for probably almost a month.
Probably so, yeah.
So, you can always go back and watch some other ones that we've done. I have shared some of them to my March into Recovery page, and then they're all on my personal page as well. So you can always go back and look through some of them if you need to. Tara said, I have 81 days, almost made a call today. Instead, I went on Facebook and saw this. See? You needed the message. You needed the message. I didn't know that you needed the message, but Joe knew that you needed the message. So here we are. Because he said to me, I had literally just posted that we were going to take the weekend off. And he come in the house and he was like, well, somebody requested for us to go live, so I'm going to go ahead and go live even if you're not going. And I was like, okay, I'll get on. Anytime that mess me. I was cleaning my bedroom and lifted up my mattress and found a piece of meth and threw it down the toilet and flushed the toilet. Good for you, Andrea. Heidi, keep up the good work. A lot of people need you. You can do that. We want to get this done. Terry said, I have 9 years clean and sober. Anyone who needs to can private message me, please. Thank you for sharing, Terry. Terry said, we often revert to the childlike mindset in order not to upset our parents, even though it kills us inside. Yes. Truth.
Yeah.
That's very true.
For me, like with my mom, it was hard for me to turn my back on her because in our family, like loyalty was always a big thing.
Loyalty runs deep.
So I felt like I couldn't be disloyal. So I always, even though like I would have limits, like I'm not gonna give you no cash, I'm not gonna help you, I'm not gonna make your shit easy, but I'm gonna still be there for you and come around you. I'm not gonna turn my back on you. And so it was hard for me to wake up. And when she got locked up this last time and she was in jail, I went and visited her, and she was different. I don't know. She just seemed really different. It was almost like the mom from my childhood again, the way she acted. And but I tried not to get caught in the trap. So I'm like, when she was talking about bailing out, I told her, I'm not gonna bail you out, even though you're gonna put the money up, because you might as well just do time served. So in case you go to court and the time you've been in here, he might just give you time served. If you bail out, he might give you another sentence. So I told her just stay and do time served. And then out of the blue, Josh decided he wanted to help her out this time all of a sudden. And he stepped in my place and helped her out when I was like, I'm not helping you. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like it was a big weight lifted off your shoulders when she went in. because you didn't have to worry about, what was she going to need from you, or
Yeah, it was the first time where I didn't have to be the mule. I didn't have to.
you didn't have to be the parent.
Yeah, I didn't have to babysit her and clean up her shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it felt good, and I kind of stayed away, and I would still talk to her and come see her every once in a while, but I had the opinion that, this was Josh's time to step up, and this was his time to be more involved and build his relationship, and I stayed away. I kind of stayed out of the middle of it, and
I think you needed it too for yourself.
Yeah,
because you had always taken care of her.
I needed a break because she first started using real heavy again, like bad, like street drugs. I mean, she had the pill thing going on for a very long time because she fucked her back up and had countless surgeries on her back and neck. And so she had the pill thing going on for a while. And she first started using when she was a kid, I mean, back in her day, that's the era. So that's what she did. And she had quite the record by the time she was 18. So but she got clean when I was young, when I was a baby, and she was the best person you could ever meet.
Yeah.
And then she messed her back up. I mean, she started meetings. She had her own house thing going on. She did a lot for recovery in our town.
Yeah.
And she was well respected and well liked, not just from her street life, but from her recovery life too. And she she ended up, her and her longtime boyfriend ended up splitting up, who was like my dad growing up, and I think that was hard on her. But they were like fire and water a lot of times, so it is what it is. And then and he was there for me a lot when she was first back on the street. So he's never turned his back on me. He's always been there for me, and I learned that their problems aren't my problems, and just because they have a problem don't mean he still don't love me and that we can't be close. So that was good. But anyway, so she started getting back into the street drugs right around the time I was getting ready to go to school, right when I was getting ready to go to college. And it was a hard decision, but I decided to go to school. And I kind of left my brother behind, and at 15 he had to go through that shit by himself. And it fucked me up, it fucked him up, and that was hard. And then flash forward, I ended up living with her. Me and her husband at the time decided we were gonna flip cars. So I went to go live with her, and she lived with me, and I lived with her in Salisbury for a little while. And my wife got done doing school, and she came back, and my mom was out of control. She was she was huffing. She was doing whatever she was doing whatever she could do to get high. And I don't know if y'all know anybody that huff, but that's one of the scariest shits I've ever seen. I ain't never seen nobody. I mean, people get crazy off PCP and all that kind of, and wet and all that crazy shit, but the way she acted when she would huff just blew my fucking mind. Like, I ain't never seen no crazy shit like that.
She was a trash can user, in my opinion.
Yeah, she was. She didn't care, whatever it took. But I had to put her out, man, because she was stealing from me, and she stole my jewelry.
I remember that.
She tried to steal money from me, and I ended up getting in a fight with her, and because she was trying to steal money from me, and she tried to run out the house with it, and I had to grab her up and push her up on the wall and get my money. And then I told her, you gotta go. It's the middle of the night. I'm trying to watch a movie. You're back in the.
Do you remember when it was? Like what month it was?
I don't remember, but
it wasn't long after Thanksgiving, was it?
Yeah,
I remember when we had Thanksgiving.
It was when it was cold out.
Yeah, probably the winter.
That shit ate me up, and that shit broke my heart, man, because I didn't want to put her out.
Yeah.
But I did. I had to, because my wife comes first, and I got to think about, it's one thing for me to sit there and go through it, but it's another thing to put somebody else in the middle of it. So I told her she had to go, and I mean that was one of the hardest things I had to do, but I felt like it went in a circle, because my brother had to go through it by himself, and then I had to go through it by myself, and I could appreciate more what he went through at that age, because it's different when you're physically there all the time than when than when you're just coming around on the weekends to party from school. You know what I mean? So it's a lot different, and But this time around, you know, she got clean and she stayed clean until the day she died. So it's never too late. Don't let that guilt stop you from making the change, because that guilt that was keeping her high, we didn't feel the way about it that she felt about it.
Yeah.
You know, we had grown up and moved on, and I just always used to tell her, stop fucking doing this shit for everybody else. Do it for you. You know what I'm saying? I want you to be clean and happy for your life, not for mine. And you don't owe me nothing. You don't owe me a thing. You don't owe me an apology. You don't owe me shit. Just get your shit together. That's all I want. And, you know, that's all your kids want. For all you people in here that, you know, lost your kids and shit like that, don't use that as an excuse to keep fucking your life up more, because that's just going to keep you away from your kids.
Yeah.
And then eventually they're going to grow up and they're going to know the deal, and the guilt is going to build, and it's going to build, and it's going to build. And before you know it, you're going to build that guilt up so thick that you're never going to come out the other side of it.
Yeah.
And when you do, I say it's never too late, but she died after getting clean 8 months because of what she put her body through for so many years.
Yeah.
Took a toll on her, and she couldn't recover. Even though, you know, she had got clean and been clean for 8 months, she had already done so much damage on her body that
there was no going back.
She couldn't recover. You know what I'm saying? She just, it killed her. You
and
know?
I really, in the bottom of me, I really do feel like she knew her time was coming to an end. Let me see. I want to go back because I know a couple of people commented. Terry said, loyalty limits our truth. We must not confuse loyalty with unconditional love, thereby keeping boundaries in place. Terry, thanks for joining. I really appreciate your words today. Go to Celebrate Recovery. Ashley said, we go to Celebrate Recovery every Friday night. I love it there. The best part is it's for everyone with a hurt habit or hang up, not just those with a chemical dependency. Eli said, you guys are basically my meeting, the NA meeting here. It's sad to say, but are full of drama, and a lot of people quit going because they didn't feel comfortable. That's in a lot of places, honestly. I know that, you know, my mother-in-law, she went to AA meetings because she said she felt like the NA she went to a couple NA meetings because she was in a recovery house, and, you know, some of the younger girls, they like going to the NA meetings, so she would go with them. But if it was her personal choice, she went to AA because she felt like in AA, even though alcohol probably wasn't her substance of choice, she could still get the same message that she needed from there.
Yeah, AA meetings are more old heads. Because alcohol is more of like a, I don't know, it's more like an old school thing, you know.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, you know, people were more prone to be alcoholics than drug addicts because it was more socially acceptable. Alcohol has been a rite of passage or a privilege, so to speak, in this world forever. So it's like, you know, you toast to your life, you toast to this, you drink for this, you drink for that. It's all over the TV. It's at every store.
Yep.
So when you go to the A meetings, a lot of times, man, it's people in there in their 70s, 50s, 30s, 40s, and they're grown-ups. You know what I mean? Because I went to an NA meeting one time when I was on probation, and I walked in the room, and I'm just like, man, I'm not coming back here. I'm not doing this, because it's a bunch of, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, judge nobody, but it just seemed like a bunch of young kids that, you know,
so many people have to go for court.
Yeah, man, and some of them look fucked up when they was there, and
or they go to avoid what's coming at court, or they're court ordered, or
it reminds me of a high school lunch table.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Everybody's in there talking shit about this one and trying to hook up with this girl, and I'm just like, man,
that was why I went to NA. I went to NA to hook up. I wasn't worried about getting clean.
So if you need a meeting and you want to avoid the scene, here you go.
Yep. Because
we don't have no scene, so this is it. It's just us talking about it right here. And I know for me, I'm not a meeting person. I'm not a I guess you could say I'm cold turkey.
You're more of a private person.
Yeah. And plus I didn't like the shit being brought up. I didn't like the nostalgia factor, and cuz sometimes people at the meetings share it.
They reminisce.
Yeah, they're in there reminiscing, and it's almost like that's what we used to do when we would get drunk, you know?
Right.
We're getting drunk in 2007 talking about the shit we was doing when we was wild in 2002 or what, you know what I mean? Like that type of shit. And I just felt like, man, this is the shit we do when we sit in the front yard and drink. We talk shit about the crazy shit we did last weekend or the crazy shit we did. To me, it doesn't coincide with actually recovering because you're not moving on. You're still talking about the good times you had and putting it in a good light. I know a lot of times I left the meeting and went to the liquor store. So, I mean, I don't know. I decided that I was going to forge my meeting slips and not go back. So.
I know your mom would call sometimes after a meeting and she would be like, I need another meeting now. Like, I've been to a meeting and all they did was talk about their drug log. And by the time it's all said and done, my mouth's watering and I need another meeting. You know, you just have to... Not all meetings are that way, and we're in no way, shape, or form trying to put down NA meetings because I know that the people that are actually putting the meetings on are trying to make a difference, and they're trying, you know, everybody's trying to help. They're trying to do the same thing we're doing. Unfortunately, you know, when the wrong people come in, that's what happens.
Yep, and it's, some people go to meetings and they got their heart in the right place, and some people need them. It works for a lot of people, but a lot of people it don't, you know. So this could be a different form of it to where you don't have to get up and get ready, and you know, you don't have to go in with the butterflies. You don't have to sit around and listen to the stories. You don't have to interact as much, and
you don't have to worry about who's going to judge you.
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
And at the meetings too, odds are you're local. You know the people, so you could be sitting in a room and you could be like, man, I just saw this dude getting fucked up last night.
Right.
Or I just saw this dude getting fucked up a week ago and he's claiming he's got 2 years clean or sober. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's like, then you kind of build a resentment to it. Like, man, this shit's phony, you know? And
yeah,
it's just.
And that just steers you away.
Yeah, you just can't, you know. But, I mean, I'm not putting meetings down because they work for a lot of people. But me personally, that's just not my cup of tea. Like I told y'all, for me, I like to move on with my life. And for me, my meeting and my recovery is my family, my workout, trying to help other people and trying to build for my future, you know, to try to clean up the mess I made and move forward.
Does anybody have anything they need to talk about or they want to share? Let's talk about something positive. How much clean time does everybody have? I have little over 8 years. Joe's 18 months.
Yeah, December I'll be a year and a half sober.
Yay.
That doubles my record. The longest I ever was sober was 9 months, and that's because I had a pending case, which was usually the case when I got sober. So it is.
Well, I wouldn't say that was usually the case because that was really the only case you had. Aside from DUIs years ago.
Yeah, and when I got DUIs and I got fleeing and eluding charges and running from the cops and all that shit, that was, I didn't give a fuck. I wasn't trying to change then, but right. I really wasn't trying to change when I had my latest charges. But when I got my latest charges, I was getting older, and I'm like, I didn't like jail. I mean, it cost me a lot of money and a lot of time, so I really didn't feel like going through that again. And I'm like, that's when I woke up, you know. I'm like, creeping up on 30, and I'm like, man, I gotta get my shit together, you know what I mean? Time's ticking.
Yeah. Congratulations, Terry. That's awesome. Anybody else?
And positive, if you want to talk about positive, for two people who have a little bit of time, obviously Jules, you know, nice and seasoned, she's got a long time.
Seasoned.
8 years is a long fucking time.
Like a New York strip steak, seasoned.
And, you know, for me, even 18 months is a long time for me. So, you know, think about how, like, look at people who have a lot of time and think about their life. Think about how their life has gone. I didn't have my license for 10 years. Because I couldn't get my shit together and I didn't care enough to try. I just drove without a license and took the chance, or walked or got rides or whatever. And when I rode the bus. Yeah, whatever. Rode the bus 2 hours to go to work, or, you know, and when I got sober, I got my license back in a couple months. It only took me a couple months. I got a car. I bought a new car. Like, all this shit started working for me when I got sober. And probably the most important thing that happened that was good was my relationship with my wife, because when I got sober, she got better. You know, she cared more about the relationship because she knew that I was in the right state of mind and I was finally being the man that she needed and that I was supposed to be. And I don't think we've had a real fight in a year and a half. We haven't had a real argument in probably the whole year and a half I've been sober.
Get in the house, please.
So we haven't had any problems really either. And our relationship's 10 times better than it was before. And we've been together for like 13 years.
I wouldn't say it's that you don't have any, that you haven't had any problems, but both of you have a different mindset on them now, When things come up, it's not necessarily a problem now. It's just something you have to work through. In my opinion.
I mean, most our problems are not, we don't have fighting. We don't fight anymore.
Right.
And we used to fight like cats and dogs. So, I mean, and we don't really fight anymore. We just kind of, here's the problem. Let's figure this shit out and get moving.
There. Yeah.
And with having a good relationship and
get in the house, please.
A good person by your side, you can accomplish a lot of things. And now you can be there for them to help them maximize their full potential. I tell people all the time, a relationship ain't about being perfect. It's not about vanity. It's about who can I build with.
Yeah.
Who do I love and who can I build with? That's what it's about. You can get feelings for anybody that you spend enough time with, but you can't build with everybody. You can't mix with everybody. So,
I'll have to get your boy.
That's what works for me.
Hopefully.
And because we're both in the right state of mind and we've both matured and I'm staying sober and I'm not putting us in harm's way, we're able to accomplish a lot more as a unit. When before, a lot of times we were pulling each other in opposite directions, So it's just something to think about. I'm telling you how good my life is now. My life is better than it's ever been. My life hasn't been this good since I was in high school and I was first, stacking money and buying cars and clothes and shit. My life ain't never been this good since then. And that was just bullshit. That was just shit on the surface that was going good for me. That wasn't real progress in my life, The progress that I'm making now is real and I can hang on to it. It's everlasting. So if you want that real progress, you got to stay with the program and stick with your sobriety and stick with staying clean, because that's the only way you're going to have real progress. A lot of people that are homeless in their 40s and 50s and 60s, they're homeless because they never got rid of that habit. They never kicked the habit. And they keep thinking, now they're brainwashed so much, they keep thinking they can dance around their habit and build a life. But every time they start to build a life, it falls back down and they're homeless again, or it falls back down and they're getting locked up again, or it falls back down, they're getting kicked out of wherever they live. Can't keep doing the same shit and think something's going to change. So look around, look at the people that have long-term sobriety and a real, strong foundation and being clean and sober, and look at how their life has changed. That's your inspiration right there. That's your positive motivation, That's your driving force. Man, look how good they're doing right now. I wonder why. It's because they're clean and sober. They're not throwing their life away and they're not going back and forth, 1 step forward, 5 steps back,
Tara said it took a lot for me to get sober. My husband of 18 years kicked me out, wanted a divorce, and I couldn't see my daughter. Now our relationship is better and my daughter's coming around. She's still angry. It takes time to get trust back. Yeah, she'll come around. You have to remember, the ones closest to us are the ones we hurt first and foremost, because I don't know why. That's just how it's always been. We always hurt the ones closest to us. So she's probably just afraid of getting hurt again. So you just have to give her that time. Terry said, has your family tried Al-Anon? I know that a lot of times when people think of Al-Anon, or they think of, group sessions for the family, that they're they get these we're just going to sit around and, whatever the case may be. But they could be really helpful. Really, really helpful. Maybe suggest that to them, Tara. that may help.
Well, that was a big thing that helped my relationship and helped my wife is she has a really close friend that's an alcoholic, and she helped her this last go around when I was trying to get sober this last time. She finally helped her stop being selfish and thinking that it's personal, and she kind of walked her through what it was like for me and what I was going through, and it kind of made a big difference in how we treated each other through my last little run.
Yeah.
So Al-Anon probably works good. I mean, I would suggest it.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I think the thing is, oftentimes, I know that Shaver said to me that, she wanted to fix you. And when she figured out, I guess through Lindsay, that she couldn't fix you, you had to fix yourself, she said it really changed the dynamic, and it really changed, how she saw things, and she felt like that when she could let that go, that it gave you the space you needed to grow.
Yeah. And I went through it on both sides, because I went through I was in the same position with my mom where I'm like, if you really love me, you would get your shit together, but it's not personal. It has nothing to do with whether you love the person or not. It has to do with they got a problem that they can't
get a hold of.
They can't fix, that they haven't figured out how to fix. So it's never personal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Try to think who that person was before they used. And if they used their whole life, then, or as long as you've known them, then that it is what it is. You knew it from the beginning,
And we're going to get his wife on live one day so that she can, kind of help maybe family members and friends and things, because, she has a message too. She lived through it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I drank the whole time we were together. We got together in high school, and I was already drinking for a couple years by the time we hooked up. I think we got together when we were like 16 or 17, and I had already been drinking.
Yeah.
It was already a part of my life. But it wasn't really a problem in the beginning. It didn't really start to take full effect until we were together for a couple years. And that's when I started going on that downward spiral, but I couldn't figure out how to control it because I had bad teachings, because I knew that before I could handle it. So I'm trying to figure out, why can't I handle it now? Why am I losing control? And I spent so many years trying to be a control freak and trying to get it under control because I didn't want to admit that I couldn't control the situation.
Yeah. Let's see. Ariana, 6 years from heroin. Awesome. Congratulations. Terry said, it's hard to understand someone's struggle. We can see it, but we can't really understand it. We even can empathize, but it is no different than looking at a photograph. We can see it. The only problem is when people have addiction, someone needs to see the ultrasound, not the picture. Yeah. That's absolutely, I love that you said that. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Because a lot of times, you only see what's on the front. You only see what's on the front of the cover. You don't see what's inside the book.
And I can't speak for everybody, but, generally speaking, when people start using or they start drinking, it's social.
Mm-hmm.
It's for fun, because that's what everybody does for fun when they're young.
It's how they cut loose. That's how they let off steam,
But there's a big difference, because not everybody has a problem with it.
Yeah.
And if you're one of them certain people that can't put the party down after the party's over, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, you start to use and drink for different things. I had started drinking when I was a teenager, like I said, and that was right around the same time, my mom started, messing up again. So then I'm drinking to drown that. I'm drinking to, drown my problems on top of having fun, and it just becomes a dangerous up and down. I'm drinking by myself when no one's around, and I didn't used to do that either. You know what I mean? So it's like, it changes for a lot of people. And if you start to see, if you're new in recovery, then you need to know right now that you have a problem and you can't control that, and you're never ever going to be able to be a social user or drinker. It's not for you. Don't try to make it for you.
Yeah. I know some people won't like this comparison, but I always compare, addiction to cancer. People go into remission. Well, now people are like living cancer free. They're getting to a point where they can actually get rid of it all completely and things like that. But, when it used to be, you know, your cancer went into remission. You know, that's what, when you go into recovery, you go into remission more or less, you know? You're always going to be an addict. It's never going to leave you
Yeah,
for the
and
rest of your life. You will always be an addict or an alcoholic.
and I thought for years that I could wipe the hard drive, and that's what I tried to do for 15 years. I kept trying to wipe my hard drive. Like, I know I drank for 2 years socially, so I figured maybe I just need a time. Maybe I just need a break. So I take a break. I take a 30-day break, a 3-week break, a 2-week break, and then I try to start over, and I just be like, I'm just gonna buy beer. And I drank an 18-pack, which was pretty normal for me. That's not a lot for me. And I think, and I'd have a good night, and I'd be like, yeah, I got this shit. Then the next weekend come around, I drink another 18-pack, but then I'm trying to convince my brother, let's go back to the store. And he's telling me no, and then we have a fight over it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A normal person is not going to fight you because you don't feel like going back to the store. You understand? And why didn't he want to go back to the store? You get what I'm saying? Like, it never goes away. Once you have that problem's with you for life, and you'll never, ever be able to get it back under control, and it'll never be what it was, you know?
Yeah. Terry, I had a feeling that when the words that you use, first off, you're very educated. So when you speak with, you know, I don't know what the word is, elegance, I guess. But most people, you know, that don't have an addiction problem, you know, that tune in and listen and have things of value to say, it's because they've been affected some way or another.
Yeah, and they're just as important, and they get affected more than we do because they're sober for all this shit. Mm-hmm. They're really living it while we're just living in a haze.
Yeah.
So it hurts them more than it hurts us because they're clear-headed. And I'm going to tell you right now, from being sober at times when my mom would go batshit crazy, it's scary as fuck. You know what I'm saying? When it's somebody close to you that you love and care about and you see them become a new, different, crazy person, that shit fucks you up. It damages you. You know what I'm saying? So for all you people out there that's got loved ones that don't affiliate themselves with you, even though you're clean and sober, you got to give it time. Stop worrying about it because you've done a lot of damage and you need to let it heal. And once it heals, that's when the progress can start to happen. And some people let go faster than others, you know. And then you got to keep in mind, you know, how many times did I burn that person? How many times did I hurt that person? So just give it time, but don't use it for a guilt trip to go out back out and use it for like, I need to keep working, you know? I need to keep working. And then over time, you'll see like, man, my life's really gotten better. And then you'll start to realize like, man, I'm just doing this shit for me now because my life has gotten so good. They'll come around whenever they feel like it. And if they don't, my life is still a lot better than it is when I'm on the street.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nah, I think we're good.
All right, guys.
Jules' battery's dying.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any last requests or anything else they want us to talk about real quick.
And I plugged it in before we got on too.
Let's get it. Well, lives kill your battery quick.
Yeah.
Lives mess my phone up. I gotta.
Well, plus we've been on, I think, for close to 40 minutes.
Lives burn my phone up when I'm on live. I'll have a full battery and my phone will get hot and my battery will die quick as shit.
That's the end.
So, I don't know why. Only lives, though. I can watch videos on YouTube all day long or listen to music on YouTube all day long and it won't do nothing to my phone. But when I get on live, it burns my phone up and I don't know why, so.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go. We'll be back tomorrow. Probably. Do you want to go tomorrow before you guys go home?
Yeah, we got a funeral to go to first thing in the morning and then,
Thanks for joining us, Terry.
When that's done and we get back, we'll get situated and we'll get on here real quick.
Yeah, probably tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, it'll be afternoon. I'm not staying long. When the funeral's done, I'm going home. So we're coming back.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys. Have a great day. If you need anything, feel free to reach out. If you have anything you want us to talk about in the future, you can just shoot one of us a message, and we'll work it in.
Yeah, anybody that has one of those nights and we don't have a live, we're not always going to be going live when you have a problem, you know? So, reach out to us. Get on our personal pages or inbox us, and we can try to talk you down, you know? I don't mind it.
And you can always go back and watch some of the other videos that we've done because we've done some really awesome ones. So, all right, guys. We'll see you
All right, y'all.
tomorrow.